For this week's Preppin data, we're back with our Liverpool football stats, and our first output is looking to analyse which formation is best to play in for Liverpool to score the most amount of goals and concede the least amount of goals. So to do that, from our earlier workflow from week 18 that we've got here in the blue colour, then we're going to first of all shoot off from here, and we're going to do a nice aggregation where we only kind of take forward the fields that we need, because at this stage we have every single player. We're only interested more in the matches and the goals. So once we've done all of our cleaning up of that data set that we imported last week, then we're just grouping by the different formations, so Liverpool's formations and the opposition formations. We're grouping on the location, home or away, the game number, the result, the opposition, and the date. And we're going to use that to work out, Liverpool's results, which is basically just a simple if calculation. So if they're at home, it's going to be the leftmost digit in this result, and if they're away, it's going to be the rightmost digit in this result. We're wrapping that round with an integer function there, just so that it becomes a number when we finish with it. Lovely. We do the same for the opposition results. That's very similar. It's just literally the other way around. So if it's home, then it's the rightmost number. If it's away, it's the leftmost number. And we're just duplicating those two fields a couple of times, well, once each, so that when we come to do our other aggregation on the formation and the opposition formation, then we can not only sum the results, but we can also do an average there. And that's still necessary. You can't, once you've used a field in one aggregation, you can't then do another aggregation with it. So that's our workaround, is duplicating the field. And we're also including a number of rows aggregation there too. And then all we need to do for that output is just do some renaming. So the number of rows becomes the games played, and our Liverpool results becomes Liverpool goals, etc. and so forth. So that all works really nicely. Or, yeah, exactly. So that's output 1, nice and simple. Now we've got two different outputs now. So we've got our formation positions that come in, and that's just saying the different types of formations. They're kind of more detailed names. Sorry, this is the positions, not formations. Getting all tongue-tied. So positions, position name, the formation that they're associated with, and then what the corresponding numerical value of that position is. So we can join that to our player data, as we were discussing earlier. There's 522 rows of that, so we just need to make sure that we're joining on our formations. So Liverpool's formations, remember, and our player number and player position, and that gets us all nice and joined together in the right way. And then we've also got to bring in our player list. So we've got to do a little bit of prep to this, because if I just add on a little clean set there, you can see that we've got the squad number, their name, and then this little position identifier here too. So we want to basically get out just the name and the position that they like to play in. So we're going to use a little bit of cheeky regex for that. So first of all, we're using regex extract, and we're saying that we want to have basically, we're trying to get out the preferred position. So we use this backslash bracket to let the regex know that we're talking about an actual bracket rather than just a capture group. And then we open up a bracket, we say that we want the digit, the character, that's the word I'm looking for, that's inside of that bracket, and we close the capture group and close off the other bracket. And that returns nicely our preferred position. And then the other thing that we want is we're just updating this player name. We're saying that it starts with a digit, one or more digits. We don't care about those. We want anything that's between that and the space and the open bracket. And that gives us our player names. But then we also notice that when we look in our data that's coming through here, if we look at our player names, then we've got only their last names. And in some cases, in an example of Allison, if that's how you pronounce it, sorry if it's not, then this is just a one-word name. He doesn't have a first name and a last name, he just has one name. So we need to check that out with our data here. So we basically say if there's a space in our player name, then we want to exclude basically anything before that space, the first space. So, for example, I can't think of any player names. Pass. You just basically want to, in all the different cases, because there are some who have multiple surnames, but you only want to get rid of that first name. So we're saying that we want to take anything after the first space. Or we're just going to leave it alone if there are no spaces. So that's how we get those player names to join in nicely, and we still have our 522 rows. We can see that some of the players that are in the squad never actually played, so they're getting excluded, but that's not an issue because we're not interested in them for the second output. So now comes the complicated bit. We're excluding some of the fields, which is fine, but now we've got an issue basically. If I come to here and I click on a specific match, let's just click on match number 1, and let's scroll along and click on one of the substitutions that's being made. So if I scroll on, we'll pick minute number 39. There we go. We've got a substitution being made. We've got, you can already see what the issue is going to be here because we've got these two players swapping, and we can see that but this player is being called a sub and this player has the position name. But what we want to do is to know where that player is being subbed into, and we need to just make sure that applies. So the way that I've decided to do this, Tom's done it a very different way in the written solution, possibly a more visually easy to follow way. But if you're familiar with Tableau Desktop and you like your LODs, then you'll like my way. So I'm creating this new column which is called position type swap, and we're fixing on the date. So that just means we're fixing it on each match. So for each match, for each time that there's a substitution, and for each time there may be multiple substitutions happening at that time. So we also need to fix on the sub number as well. This definitely caught me out earlier. Basically, for each of those things, we need to just say that if the player is being subbed off, then we want to take their position type. So because the player that's being subbed on will always be called a substitute, we just want to know what position they're going into, and therefore that will come from the player who's being subbed off. So if I show you, possibly that would be more helpful, what this returns. So this is the position type swap. Let's just go and find that first game and that 39th minute, so that you can see again exactly what that's done. So you can see here that we had goalkeeper and sub. Now they're both called goalkeeper, so we can swap out that position type for the word goalkeeper instead of the word sub. And that's exactly what we do here. We're just saying if they're the subbed on player, then take this swap field, otherwise leave that column alone. And that's what it does. And we do the exact same thing for the position name as well, because this will also be affected by that. And we replace that there too. Finally, the other thing that we just need to do is now we can filter out all of our subs because we don't care about them. If a player didn't play in a game, never got substituted on, we don't care that they were just sat on the bench. That's boring. So now we can start getting closer to our final output. So we want our player names, our position type, position name, and also their preferred position, as well as all of the minutes that they've played in each of these positions. Now we want to check though how often players are playing in their preferred position. So we're just basically saying, the left of the position type, the first digit there, because that will, the first letter there, sorry, will correspond to this preferred position. And we're just going to filter out all the times where they are playing in it because we're only interested in when they're not playing in it. And then we're just going to count that for each of our players. There is a number of fields record, number of rows record here, field here, but you can't see it. I'll just demonstrate that if you like. Because if you rename it, then it gets rid of it, which is very frustrating. So there we go, we've got our games out of position field there. So now we're going to join that back to our data stream up there, joining on that player name again, but we're doing a left join so that we keep all the players who always play in their preferred position. And that's not an issue. And then all that we need to do is wrap our little games out of position in a ZN because all those people who never play out of their position would have had a null here instead, so that becomes a 0. And then we just need to remove a couple of the fields and we're at our desired output of 72 rows. So I hope that was all clear. Please do check out Tom's written solution for this one because he has a different solution and he's better at talking football terms. So thanks for listening.